Why is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
But John, that's not why we brought you here.
No.
Oh, it's not?
It
Oh,
feels like it sometimes.
yeah.
No, but I
No,
feel
love
like
it.
I've decided though that the two of you are the bane of my existence. I mean, I think I've always known
I was
that.
gonna say decided. I think that's just been a thing.
Isn't
I
that
know
how you guys met? What are you
it
talking about?
is.
This is
Mhm.
I
the
know,
whole problem.
but I think usually it's the two of us that are the bane of your existence, John. But
Not
I
at
think,
all. Not at all.
but in the moments of us getting together, I single-handedly destroyed my kitchen in attempting to make a cup of coffee, which I don't do often, but I don't destroy my entire kitchen in the process. But I did. Fell in my kitchen because I spilled said cup of coffee because I don't know how to make a cup of coffee, and attempted to clean the floor because I can't not clean the floor, and I wiped out on the floor. Then
Again?
not again. I haven't.
Or no, the spill
Yeah.
your
The,
spill was from the spill of the coffee.
oh, look at he's back.
There we go. Perfect.
Oh, I'm so glad he's
Why was
back.
I gone? I
No,
was gone.
we have a ghost in our Zoom named Gordon.
Oh,
He's
I see.
he's our ghost in the machine. And John didn't laugh.
No,
I'm
I'm
didn't.
laughing inside where it counts. I was waiting to hear more about Gordon.
John
So
didn't get it. John didn't get why we
No,
named him
he's gonna
Gordon.
act like he gets it. He's gonna say, "I get it."
I
But
can't believe John didn't get why we named him Gordon. But anyway, I wiped out because I used Clorox wipes on the floor, which I shouldn't do, but I had wanted to be here on time,
I
and it
see.
made the floor
Gotcha.
slippery, and I wiped out. So then I came over here to set up, and nothing would set up, and then Zoom had to update and kicked everybody out. And then so I've decided it's the two of you, but Gordon agrees that you two are the bane
it's
of
got
my
a that's
existence.
got a sting though.
What my
Oh,
story?
there we
When you
go.
fall like that,
Oh,
I
there
was
you
waiting
go.
for my entry point,
All
but
right. Well
man, you think I'm
done.
just gonna jump in right away? I was waiting for a good moment.
All
That's
right.
all.
Good job.
Huh?
Although the way you say that makes it sound like we were just the bane of your existence this one moment,
No, I
and
said
not
always.
okay. Always.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
I hope so.
Yes.
So let's talk
Wait,
about.
I know so.
Yes, let's talk about the Beaver Island Film Festival.
Well, it's going to be exciting. It's the most remote film festival on earth. And we have a great lineup this year. We have a couple features on Saturday, and we have a series of short films that are a mixture of completed short films and trailers. And the point behind all of it was to get a bunch of filmmakers on the island to experience Beaver Island and everything that it has to offer. But it also is a chance for these filmmakers to get together and have an exchange of ideas based on the short films and the two features that we have on the island.
Have you been practicing that pitch?
I know that was really
No,
good.
that's just second nature.
Oh,
No, I've been slinging this stuff for a while now. So,
well, that
no,
sounds.
it's a really great place for a film festival. It's just a very remote place, and you have to want to go there. So, and this is just one more reason to go to Beaver Island.
Well, why wouldn't
There
you
are the
want to go there? I mean,
well,
it's an amazing place.
it is. It's there's. I mean, they're known for a couple things. They're known for the only monarch in the United States, which was short-lived, by the way,
Yeah,
in the
very.
1840s.
Yes.
And they're also known for the monkey flowers, which grow wild on the island. And they make a point: don't touch the monkey flowers on Beaver Island.
Mm.
Are they poisonous? Is there a uncomfortable burning, itching sensation? Why don't you touch them?
Well, I can only speak towards the monkey flowers on Beaver Island, but because they grow in the wild,
I wouldn't want you to speak of monkey flowers elsewhere.
have you ever looked at monkey flowers? I think if you
I
look it up,
If you look at them, you'll die.
well, you'll see why they call them monkey flowers. So, and I can't
Which,
really
first of
tell
all,
if those.
should we perhaps, since our show is international and there are film makers throughout the globe who may perhaps want to come to Beaver Island that may not be familiar with where it is. Beaver Island is in northern Michigan, or or it's an island, so it's not in, I don't know, it's in the lake, I guess I should say.
John's
But
doing
it
a better
is-
job at selling
I know.
this.
Well, it's his job to sell it. It's not my job to sell it.
True.
I am
Nice out.
I'm
What?
a
You only
host of
live
the,
by it. What are you talking about?
I know, but I am hosting the
You stare at
podcast.
it every time you're up north. You're
Yes,
the
I do.
closest of the three of us to Monkey Island. Oh, did I just
You
meld the
did.
two of them just now?
You did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it all
did.
kind of
Yes.
blends for me.
Well,
So,
said King came over to my lighthouse and caused a ruckus and killed some people. So, see, I would say that for filmmakers who are getting together on this island, though it's remote, it is fabulously inspirational to spark a lot of ideas for future films.
it is. And yeah, and as a matter of fact, a number of films have been shot on the island in the past. And there's a
Oh.
number of events that are actually world renowned. There is the Baroque Festival on the island, which features Baroque music. And then there is a music festival on the island, which features Baroque musicians. And then the
That
other
was
thing
funny. I
is
laughed at that. You
I
did
was just
not.
trying. I had to
And-
keep up with all the banter that you have. So
Yeah.
I thought
Um,
it was great.
and-
I was glad you didn't pull out the Beauty and the Beast line, which is not funny anymore because it's been overused.
well, I'm glad I didn't either.
I know.
Well, now they have the film festival, and this is the second year for the film festival, and it's 2 nights, September 20th and 21st, and it'll be featured at the Beaver Island Historical Museum. Which, interesting fact, the Beaver Island Historical Museum is located in the old original Mormon print shop that King Strain printed the Beaver Islander newspaper in. And I know, Luke,
Wow.
you're in the midst of the book. Heidi, I think, did you read the book?
No, my
The
mother
King of
did.
Confidence?
No, my mother has
Yeah.
told me everything about it. So
I
So
actually
this guy,
finished
King,
it. It's lovely. Yeah.
isn't it amazing? I mean, this
Mhm.
guy was made for being the monarch of Beaver Island. He was a lawyer. He was a postmaster general. He saw what the Mormons had going on in Illinois and said, "Hey, I want some of this action." He was a lifelong atheist until he said, "Hey, I could be a Mormon." And he wrote that letter. It's debatable whether he forged it. I say he forged it, so I'm the authority in my conversation. He forged a letter from John Smith right after he died. He wrote a letter and he knew how to run the post office. So he sends the letter to himself saying, "Hey, Mormons, follow me." He left it all to me and went to Wisconsin, realized that people could escape his confines of Mormonism. So he said, "An island. Let's go to an island." And that's where he goes to Beaver Island. And while he's there, he becomes state senator for the northern third of Michigan. He's got his postmaster tricks. He understands the law as well. And then he knows how to break it because he's got pirate ships going out and raiding all the different communities in Lake Michigan. I mean, it's a great movie.
it
And
is.
I know, Luke, you've been thinking about it after the book, so don't let me interrupt what your plans are.
Yeah. So way to take all of the stuff we do for you and just give it to the world. Thanks.
Yeah.
Way to go, John. All the stuff
It's a
we could do
great
together.
movie.
All the stuff we
Exactly.
could do
All the
together. You
stuff together.
you just gave it to the world.
I don't think so.
Throw
I
it
think anybody
downstream.
can read that book. Yeah.
I
Shut
know,
up,
but
John.
but now,
Shut up. Stop talking
yeah,
about
way
it.
to go, John. Nice,
Oh, okay.
nice
I'm
going,
sorry.
John. Nice
I
going.
really
Nice,
screwed it up.
nice going,
But
Melvin.
this is what the film
We're
fest
gonna
is
send
all
you to.
about.
We're sending you to
Ex-
Monkey Island.
I've been there. That's at the Fiji house. No big deal. Anyways, yeah, so back to the film fest. That's
Oh,
exactly
that.
what this
Yes.
is. Exchange of ideas, people coming together. Um, and the Islanders, lifelong Islanders, and the one rule is you get off the boat and everyone's an Islander until they prove they're not. Because everyone's related, and every time I've ever been at a bar talking to any of those guys, they'll be dishing on somebody at the bar, and what I've learned is never participate in any of that, because the last comment's always, if he wasn't my brother, I'd kill him, that kind of stuff. And if you
Right.
jump in, you're getting killed. So,
Right. Well, they say once you go
which,
beaver,
well,
I
yeah,
mean,
or monkey flowers.
yeah,
Yeah,
you'll
I always get
never
those
leave.
interchangeable. I don't know how that
well,
works.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
hey, is this rated G? This
Uh,
this program?
It was at some point. Uh,
Why? Why?
it would, I don't know.
oh,
See how I bring it
And
full circle.
well
right.
done.
But the films we've had some of the filmmakers on the program, the
Ye-
makers of Marquee Town, which is one of the two features they're showing, and then the director, producer, creator of the Grandy Ballroom film, which is the second feature you'll
Yes.
be showing. And then we've had on the writer and producer of the funeral photographer.
Photographer. Yes.
And then I
But most
guess I was going
I've
to
got
say,
you
if
guys though.
this is what I was going to say, like if it's going to be so great, and I wish I didn't have to bring it up myself, but here we are. Um, we're doing a sneak preview of a short film that we have made
Yes.
called The Astronaut is Unimpressed. Uh, an enjoyable little 5 minutes of ridiculousness. And then we will also be showing a sneak preview teaser of the feature film we're working on, documentary currently titled Love is the Message.
Yes.
And yeah, we are thrilled to be part of this nonsense.
Are we gonna tell them who those are both about? Because they're pretty significant, or
Sure,
no?
we could do that. Yes,
Who's the great salesman now?
that's
Oh
true.
well, I was waiting for my chance to say that.
Why don't we
Jeez.
have the head of the film festival do that? And
That's
why
a
don't
great idea.
Yeah, I think
Hey
we should
Luke,
do that.
Yes, John.
Luke, can you and Heidi talk a little bit about the astronaut film and the setup? And my favorite part is the reference to Lisa Simpson.
Yes, I'm so glad you asked. So the whole project started, was interviewing Louis Lapham, who just passed away, is it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks
I
ago,
believe so,
as of this
yes.
taping. He was a writer and editor, a friend of George Plimpton's. He was a longtime editor of Harper's, and for the past decade, 2 decades, has ran a great little magazine called Lapham's Quarterly that was a compendium of articles, essays, poetry, art on a particular topic, and each magazine was a different. So it would go from cooking to astronomy to business and such. I was interviewing him about, he went to India with the Beatles in 1968, and that's what we were talking about. And because he's one of these people who in college just decided to go down to the Village every weekend and go see Charlie Parker and Thelonious Monk play, he's one of those people who kind of just cross paths with these folks in interesting times. And in 1950, I want to say 7 or 58, was a young reporter in San Francisco. We're getting to the film here.
Oh no,
No,
I'm
No,
following.
this is all, yeah.
Okay. Was a young reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle. Aldous Huxley is doing his acid experiments at, I think it's USC, at a time when all of this has yet to be outlawed. And Huxley and his folks say to the paper, why don't you send a reporter and send a creative type, and we'll put the two of them through this experiment, and the reporter can write about it and kind of compare and contrast. And because he's Louis Lapham, he called up Allen Ginsberg, and the two of them went to USC and were dosed and had a whole experience. And that's what the film was about. You mentioned Lisa Simpson, and given the myriad of achievements that Lapham had throughout his life, to a lot of folks, by which I mean me, one of his greatest is that the best way to kind of put him in a popular culture context is that Lisa Simpson has a crush on him and has a Louis Lapham trapper keeper that she carries around with her for all of her schoolwork. So that is the short film.
While we're still
And
on that,
yes,
this is 1957, right?
correct. Yes.
This is also the year that I believe Howl came out in 57, and so did On the Road, right?
You know,
Oh,
I did
look
not
at
make those
you.
connections,
Look
but
at
look
you,
at you.
John Sauve. That's why we keep you.
Yeah. Do you have Wikipedia
Mhm.
pulled up? That's amazing.
I have nothing. I got,
Wow.
monkey
Oh,
paws. I got
I
monkey
know.
hands.
I know.
So
You're just sitting
no,
at that rest stop. Where are you right now? Doesn't matter.
yeah, let's not talk about that right now.
Oh,
Uh,
No, but Howl might have come out the year before On the Road, and I think On the Road is 57, so it might have been 56.
so
So
yeah,
Ginsberg's
how
getting all this attention.
exactly? How it was written 54 and 55 came out in 56. Um, but sort of certainly
same.
57 was On the Road. So the beat ethos was in the air, shall we say?
Man,
No, no, shall we say
mm,
that? Is that what we're going to say?
Yes,
yeah, we
we
should.
shall.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
we
Okay.
should say that.
We
Yes.
should type all this up.
We really should.
I know.
I wish we were recording
Actually,
this in
this
some way,
could be
shape, or
the
form.
Wait,
preface.
why aren't we recording?
Yeah.
Are we recording this?
We're
Okay, good.
recording this, yes.
Only I forget to record.
Shoo.
Yeah.
Oh, at the very end.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never record.
But yeah, it was just a story he started talking about, and then when we were done, he just sort of rattled off a bunch of these stories that my friend who was shooting it for me, we kept exchanging looks like, what is this? This is insane. And to the point that we interviewed him at the Lapham's Quarterly office. As we're wrapping up, we meet, I can't remember his title. It was one of the higher up editors. And we said, yeah, and Lewis just brought up this whole acid thing. And he goes, wait, what? And so no one who was working with him knew any of this stuff either.
Right.
So,
Right.
because I guess when you lived that life, just to say, hey, did I tell you about that time I
Yeah,
did
it's just
acid
part of
with
the fabric.
Ginsberg? Right. Um, and it's just a fun little ridiculous story. It's
What was this during
yes.
Plimpton when you were doing all those interviews?
No, we interviewed him for Plimpton, certainly. Because George had put together a play that was the letters between Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Zelda Fitzgerald. And sometimes when they were doing it, George would play Fitzgerald, and it was usually Norman Mailer playing Hemingway and Norris Church Mailer, Mailer's fifth wife, and final wife, would play Zelda. After he died, she continued playing Zelda, and they brought in Lapham to play Hemingway. And there was a whole plan right when George died that they were going to go down to Cuba, and Plimpton someone had told him this whole legend that they were going to that Hemingway had written a different ending to The Sun Also Rises, and Plimpton had been told that this manuscript still existed and was in a safe in a basement in Havana. So George called up Lapham and said, okay, we're going to go down to Cuba. We're going to perform this play in Havana. And also, if we can find this manuscript, it's in a safe, it's in this basement. If we can get that, we can run that in the magazine, in the Paris Review. And this is going to boost readership, and this will really help the magazine. And so Lapham always described that as sort of the ultimate Plimpton thing of, we're going to have this adventure. It's going to be 5 different things at once. So we had interviewed him for that, and we only talked about Plimpton. And I was doing some other work for Lapham's Quarterly, and in passing. So when Lapham went to India to cover the Beatles for Life magazine, he gets off the plane in, I believe it's Marrakesh, gets in the cab driver looks over his shoulder, looks at him and just says, you go Beatles? And he says, I go Beatles. And so they drive the few hours up to where the Maharishi is conducting these seminars. And he goes in and he's in the camp, I guess, if you want to call it, with the Beatles. And they all 4 of the Beatles, sort of in short order, or when they have their realization that this might not be all legit and everything is a little questionable.
Yeah.
Ringo, who brought a suitcase full of baked beans because he was terrified of eating the food and getting sick. Ringo was the first one to be like, get me out of here. And Lapham was similarly like, yeah, I'm good. I got my story. So Ringo and Lapham split a cab to go back to the airport. So I'm working on this thing and I'm talking with one of their marketing people. And I said, God, I would love to hear Lewis's story about the Beatles. And she says, okay, yeah, like we're talking, I throw that out. 2 days later, we're talking. She says, oh, by the way, I talked to Lewis and yeah, he'd be happy to sit down and talk with you about the Beatles. To which I kind of was like, I guess I'm filming Lois Lapham talking about the Beatles. Like this was just an aside. This was nothing like, and so this acid story came up out of that. And when someone tells you that story, you kind of have to, at least for me, my mind goes to,
Absolutely.
we got
Yeah.
to make sure more people know this. And because he was such a great writer and part of that includes the storytelling side of things, he told it in such an interesting way that there was very little editorial work that needed to be done. So yeah, we put this thing together. It is I think the first release by the professional production company,
Mhm.
aside from the 20 different podcasts we produce on a regular basis.
Right. Yes.
First visual
First
project
visual.
we're releasing.
Correct.
And I know on the Beaver Island Facebook page, you just released the poster for said film.
Limited edition. Yeah.
Yes.
There will be a trailer, I believe, that we're going to be all putting out soon. And yeah, we're excited to get it out there and share it with folks. And, I think, and it's a good lineup of films to be a part of. And
Yeah.
eclectic in the best way possible.
When is eclectic not good?
Especially
surgery.
Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, before we go to, because there are 2 films that you guys had worked on that will be featured at the film festival.
Yes.
But just one quick comment on Lewis Lapham. This is amazing, and it's a glimpse, and it's a bigger story, and it's one of a million stories. And if it's an introduction for people to him, it's amazing. If it's someone who's a big fan, it's amazing because it's yet another story that shows another side to this guy who was everywhere, who was very Plimpton-esque because of his
Yes.
profession. He was everywhere. And oh my God, I can't wait for you to do the one where they were talking about going to Cuba, because I know that's cooking right now too. I Again,
we-
everything goes back to Plimpton for me. Plimpton is such a great film. And the one thing that every time I talk to
Thank
you,
you.
I always think of the thousands of interviews you did for the Plimpton film, and how only a small percentage made it into the film because there was thousands of interviews. But it opened
Yes.
up all these doors because you're talking to people about their lives, and they love to tell you about their lives. And especially as it revolved around Plimpton. You got a great subject, and you're going in with a great intro with Plimpton, and you're talking about a time period that is still very much a part of our ethos today too, because it's the golden age of America, if you will, from the '60s. And it's I don't know. I love each one of these sub stories off of the Plimpton story, and that's why I'm really looking forward to having that film there, because I think people are going to be like, wow, this is a whole new direction for me. So I'm excited.
My favorite 2 comments after screening Plimpton Anywhere. One, people would come up and say, I'm going to go out and buy Paper Lion tomorrow and read it. And secondly, there's always a bunch of folks talking about the fact that this is such a reminder of going out and doing things and trying, that the idea of failure is not necessarily a failure. And it's the experience, it is the journey that is the thing that you're looking for. And so I feel like for me, part of the great thing about the film is just sort of having that reinforced and really banged into your head for 5 years straight is like, just go do it. Just go talk to somebody, go give something a shot, and not to disappear too far up any one of our orifices. I think that's what the podcast does. I think that's what a good film does. What any good art does is sort of say, like, what's your story? Let me tell you mine. And I think the Lapham film, The Astronaut is Unimpressed, does that. But I think also the other films at Beaver Island do that. And then the feature with we are working on, and Heidi, you can maybe explain this in greater detail. Because have we just talked about it on the show? I think we have.
No.
Not a whole lot. Every now and again we'll allude to it. And but we don't talk about it that much. So we are working on a feature about our friend Nikki Ciano, who we did interview on the show a while back. Excuse me. Nikki Ciano is a legendary DJ. We actually discovered him. We did not know who he was initially, but we watched the Bee Gees documentary many years ago, and he was featured in it as a source. And we were watching it in our respective homes, saw him, and we argue over who saw him first. But we texted, it was me. We texted each other and said, "Oh my God, have you seen this guy? He is amazing. We have to talk to him." And Luke did reach out to him. I will give him credit for that. And because Luke reaches out to 90 point whatever percent of our people, and because Luke does everything. And I do give you also credit for that. And does set it up. And we interviewed him. We originally knew about him through the documentary as the original DJ from Studio 54. So when Luke reached out to him, he had said, "Well, I'm really sick of talking about Studio 54. It's actually not that interesting to me. And it's really not what I've done. It was kind of the end of disco. But I've got other stuff. If you want to talk about that, I'll talk to you." And Luke said, "Yeah, we would love to talk about other stuff." So we ended up talking to him and realized that Studio 54 was truly the least interesting thing about him. Interviewed him, and he found out through that he was one of the founding fathers of the underground dance movement of the early 1970s. Had a club called The Gallery, is credited with beat matching, and has subsequently been featured in tons of documentaries, most recently the BBC's Disco Soundtrack of a Revolution. He still DJs all across the globe today. Sells out shows, plays till 5, 6 in the morning with people coming from across the globe of all ages to rock out with him. And he moves like nobody's business and can spin like nobody's business. He also has had other careers that were just incredible. He was an AIDS counselor in the 80s, working with some pretty notable names, wrote a pretty amazing book on treatment of people with HIV when no one else was being willing to even be around people because people didn't understand the disease yet. He's just has lived so far and continues to live an incredible life and preaches a message of love every day. Thus, Love is the Message, which is a signature song. And we're really excited to create this feature on him. Also, during that time, not only is he one of the only people to still have survived through that era, and God knows how he did survive this era because he lived it every bit as much as everyone else did, all the excess, all the drugs, all the everything.
And he's as perplexed as we are.
He is the most perplexed by this.
Yes.
And it's fascinating. But he also, being the creative genius that he is, had the wherewithal to have a team of students come in and film the gallery in the early 70s and capture all these moments. So therefore, he has this archive of original footage of the gallery, both on film and still photographs that no one else has in existence. Now, some of it's been featured in some of these documentaries, but a great deal of it has never been shown before. So we have incredible existing footage. Plus we have Nikki's story, which if you look out into the world and watch some of these other documentaries that are circulating, and some other ones are coming out, another great one's about to come out through Paramount. He always steals the show just because of who he is and how he just pops off the screen, just his passion, his voice, everything about him is amazing, but no one has had the rights to his story. We're the only ones who have it, and everyone wants to hear more from him, and we've got it. And so that's what we're doing, and that's what we're about to tell. So we're really excited to do that, and we're excited to share it because you haven't heard or seen anything yet. He's amazing, and I spend a
you're
lot
managing
of time.
a lot of his time right now too, right?
I am. That's what I do from our side. We are doing that as part of the professional production team, but that is what I spend my time doing. Is I'm in charge of Nikki. Luke's in charge of everything else, and I'm in charge of Nikki, and I love
And it's
that.
a fair trade-off of power.
It is. That's a lot of work.
It
Being
is.
in charge of Nikki, I'm sure, is no easy task.
It's not, but I'm very well suited to it. Nikki and
Yes,
I
you are.
we're very well suited to each other. We are the bane of Luke's existence, Nikki and I.
But
and
his-
but it's really fun too, because people, I mean, from all over the world fight for him and fight for him to come perform for them. And I mean, I've become an excellent negotiator for his performance and time because people want him and they will fight to get him. And it's fun for what we're doing and everything to see how people know how special he is and how special it is to have him to this day to perform and do what he does and bring his message to the world.
And it's a very important message.
It is.
And universal.
And universal.
And as we started kicking around this idea, and the kind of had said to him, I think there might be a movie in this story. As we were talking early on, at some point, he basically, in an hour and a half long phone call, laid out his entire story in one fell swoop. And I can't remember where it came up in the conversation, but talked about the fact that like the one song he plays every single time he spins and performs is by this Philadelphia-based group. Let me see if I can remember. MFSB,
Mother,
I believe
father,
is the order.
sister.
Yeah. Brother. Yeah.
Yep. Mother, father, sister.
That was made up of all session musicians in Philly. And I think it's either one of us said to him, like, well, what's the name of the song? And he just says, Love is the Message. And we both, I think, at the same time threw our hands up in the air and we're like, that's the movie. There's the title.
Yep.
So
are you sure MFSB stands for that?
This is what the musician said. I'm sure there's some sort of jazz patois that we just are us mere mortals do not comprehend. But but yeah, it's exciting. And I think both of these films, there's a lot of overlapping in a way as far as message, style, tone, all of that. With two people who you probably would not see in the same room.
But maybe you would.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, because of who they are, you probably would. Yeah.
Yes,
and they probably cross paths at some point.
The Beaver Island Film Festival is being held September 20th and 21st on Beaver Island in Michigan. For more information, you can find the festival on Facebook or you can check out beaverisland.net.
Why the Podcast is produced by the Professional Production Company. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts because we're shallow and need constant validation. For more information, you can check out our website, whythepodcast.com. And like everyone else, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today's show was recorded and produced by Heidi Hedquist and myself from our world headquarters located on the second floor of the professional office building, centrally located downtown. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauve and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?